Picks and bans coming up right here at Noble versus MM. Game number 2. Very curious to see where Noble goes. The Nemesis ban.
Right away.
Do we see Nemesis and Hades ban?
Maybe, actually. The way andinster played Hades was very obnoxious because of getting that early mid pressure, allowed them to invade speed buff for free, and it forced Stealth to sit under his own tier 1 tower and absorb some of that experience that he would have missed otherwise. But the composition out of Noble that last game didn't have too much control outside of Khepri. You know, you have the slows from Robin, you have a knock-up and a stun out of Ratatasker, but he has to be really risky diving that backline. And there was just not enough options to really lock down some of these players. Ganesha, though, hasn't been banned, so Noble are thinking about it.
Yeah. Monkey banned the Fafnir over the Ganesh. Thinking about it here is Noble Esports very quickly, and they're going to lock it in. So they do have the support. This character is very strong. One, he can really run team fights. He's very strong when it comes to objective control as well. But that, of course, leaves Bellona open, and she will be taken. Monkey Madness do have one more selection before they toss the pick back over to Noble Esports. What do you think we'll see? It's going to be the Susano.
I was going to say Susano because with Nemesis banned and Monkey Madness banned Susano the last game against Skeeledon, so taking that still away from him, Homiefe is going to be looking for some of these plays.
Ho-Yi one more time for Wowy. We'll see if this continues. Wowy is, oh man, it's interesting because Wowy and MLC seem to be the hard carries for this squad. Skeeledon and Aquarius still sort of warming up to the team. And when it comes down to it, last game we saw Ho-Yi and Thoth, 2 very late game gods. Wowy and MLC need their team to bring the late game to them. Last game it didn't work. So do you want to see an earlier game god from MLC, or do you want to see them stick to their guns?
I want to see early game because he's based off of momentum. If Noble Esports doesn't get the momentum, then they're just going to start slowly falling behind very quickly. We saw Monkey Madness take a 1,000 gold lead to about a 4,000 gold lead at the 7.5 minute mark after that a very impressive gold fury steal by andinster. But already with this composition out of Noble between Hercules and Ganesha, now a little bit more control than the first game.
Cupid banned out, and you know, I don't mind the Thoth ban, but I would have almost, you're forcing Noble into the correct choice, which is earlier game, right? So very interesting. And he's going to play his Ra. Hades banned this time around, so andinster's Ra is the first god that he really played at a very, very high level in the mid lane for what it's worth. So I like the Ra choice. Vulcan will be the mid lane that he'll be going head-to-head against, and it will be Camazotz, the jungle of choice for Skeeledon.
I like Vulcan here for stealth because every single time andinster will drop that heal, that's going to be an easy target for those meatballs, for the ultimates as well out of Vulcan. So a nice little counter selection. Doesn't have the greatest clear compared to Raw, at least safe clear, because you have to be a little bit closer to use your backfire as opposed to andinster's having to use his first ability.
Medusa, the hunter of choice for Vetium here. So we've got a different duo lane with Medusa and Khepri. The same idea in the jungle, high control out of the Susano, and you're going to give Bellona. This one looks tough, but we do get to see Ganesh. We'll head right into game. Noble Esports on the left. Monkey Madness, they took game number 1. We'll see how it works out.
Starting fresh, Noble needs to think about ways to find an early game advantage here. Aquarius this time in the solo lane. Ganesh, though, on Wubbn, rotating between both that mid and the solo lane. Looks like he's going to start off in the solo lane to make sure Aquarius doesn't fall too far behind.
Okay, you see him just staying present, and he is spotted out, so he won't be a surprise, so he'll just walk right on into lane. No big deal. Homiefe is here with fineokay, so different story. We've got the support and the solo, and the jungle and the solo. Where does that put Skeely? He's right in the middle.
Vetium looking to play a little bit aggressive here. They're looking for their own red buff invades. They recognize that he's left alone in a 1v2. Wowy is going to just sit on by as his red buff gets stripped away, and I wouldn't be surprised if the purple goes very quickly after.
Yeah, there's nothing Wowy can do here in this unfortunate situation. Nice play coming out from Monkey Madness, and Wowy will take a look towards the jungle and see what's going on and just sort of get it. But because of that, he can't even walk up and take the farm from the minions either in lane, otherwise he'll get flanked, so he's got to stay back.
Not only in the dual lane, but also getting invaded on in their solo lane, but that's because it seems that Noble wanted to play very aggressive and strip away the speed and the blue from Monkey Madness. Skeeledon gets his own speed. Aquarius getting his own blue.
Oh, he's going to get collapsed on.
A little action.
Skeeledon will walk towards his support, but fineokay and Homiefe try to collapse. Now it's a 3-on-2 as MLC starts to make the rotation, but then heads right to the mid-camps instead. I like that choice, prioritizing the farm over the fight.
They were just too far away to really chase that down at this point in the game anyway, so you might as well min-max, try to get to level 5 first, and that could be enough of a power play to look for other invades after that.
And here's one invade that they're going to go for. Noble heading into the left enemy jungle, looking for the red buff. Now the call has been made from the middle laner, so that'll send Vetium and Jigz over to rotate, but 3 players bring it down relatively quickly, and they're able to score that one for the big man.
Camazotz does a lot of damage very quickly, especially with that Bomba's mask and the Bluestone Pendant. Some action here, but Monkey Man is walking away with the vision from the Oracles.
Ooh, Homiefe might walk down the wrong hallway. He's going to meet 3 members of Noble, but they seem to have gone the different direction. Skeeledon gets grabbed and hit by both players, and now he's going to be dancing around Homiefe trying to do his best to storm and body block, but he can't find it. Dashing away from MLC's damage, but Wubbn's here as well. And Andy's going to get hit from mid laner as well. No kills just yet. Skeely here. MLC does have the backfire. Trying to line it up, gets pulled by Homiefe and has to target the jungler instead. Mid lane Andy walks away.
Great mobility coming out of Monkey Madness. Both passes between Susano and Raw gives you so much mobility as you're using your cooldowns. Homiefe getting 4%, whereas Raw is getting about 6% or so per ability used. And this is what allowed them to make that aggressive play around the tier 2 out of Noble and still be able to escape before finishing off their boots.
Yeah, so nice little plays coming there. And as you said, the boots will come first. So often we've seen the stacking items. It's kind of nice to just see the return to the booties.
Well, there's different options. You know, you want to be able to be warm while you're in the battleground of the gods.
Oh, just stop right now. Just stop.
You gotta keep your feet warm.
Stop that. You're not allowed to talk anymore. I just don't like it. Why did you go in that direction?
It's the booties, man.
No,
you gotta keep your little feet warms.
No, boots provide power, attack speed, and movement speed if necessary.
And warmth.
Thank you, Jigz. Jigz's character does the dance as I'm trying to get serious. The animation comes off, reminding me that sometimes I guess you do have to have a little bit of fun and watch what's going down here. It has been total fun for MM. Just a slobber knocker game number 1, able to just take advantage in every way possible. What was that game? 22 minutes before the surrender?
Like that.
So, a little bit rough for Noble in that regard, but here, hoping for something different for game number 2. They did ban out the Hades, which was... Hades and Nemesis were the problem characters for that. I don't care who was in the solo lane there, totally. I think those 2 characters would have enabled them. Aquarius is in the solo lane for now, but he'll head back to the fountain. And that's first blood. Nice and easy, just routine. Like for Homiefe and fineokay.
The same exact story compared to the first game. Whether or not he's playing the Nemesis or the Susano, just ganking Aquarius, allowing fineokay to get that little bit of advantage. I like what his mindset was to try to survive in that 1v2 situation, using his bolt, his excavate for that CC immunity. Unfortunately, he used it a little bit too early, and Homiefe's Typhoon still found the knockup at the end of that tail gank.
Yeah, I mean, Homiefe is very patient. That's what allows him to survive there. Wowy gets hit by the Sunder, and look at him just get shredded. Andy gets the last hit, but the damage was done by Jigz and Vetium. Big trouble from the duo lane, and it's 2 kills to 0. Noble on the bad side.
Dharmic Pillars was used, also trying to survive a little bit longer. Wubbn couldn't find the safety of his teammates to bail him out of that one. It does have a little bit of a short cooldown, so it's only 75 seconds, giving you a lot of protection reduction. Anytime you walk over it, it also slows your opponents. And if you can keep somebody locked into one of those lines by using your dash ability, that's where the true damage out of this god comes from.
I mean, the classic shake and bake, right? Now, there is a limitation. You can only... Ooh, nice jump from fineokay. They're going to dive Aquarius here just a little bit. You'll get that mitigate wounds online and back to base, or just tease it.
I would have liked to see maybe even allow yourself to get pushed under that tier 1 tower, so that way fineokay can get off the guaranteed damage from the Eagles rally instead of using that defensively, because Homiefe was right around that corner. Because Aquarius' ultimate wasn't up. However, neither was Homiefe's.
Man, this is like your dream. Both games have just been solo lane centric.
Not as much as that one game from, what was it? Maniac on the Osiris where he just went off. That was the dream.
But so, well, I mean, no, I present this in two different ways. Because Maniac just took advantage and went crazy. This, game number 1 was off of ganks to the solo lane, etc.
And that's the difference. Homiefe has just been ganking to allow this situation for fineokay to be better. Whereas Maniac that game, it was all himself.
Well, Wubbn, it's all him right now. The toss for the mid lane Vulcan not going to be on the money to take down Homiefe. And Skeeledon goes to the sky and just holds it. There's nothing for him to do. Nice escape coming out from Andy and his teammates there in the mid lane. Noble still killless.
Jigz using that ultimate, not for the revive necessarily, but just for that extra mobility that it provides, getting his teammates a little bit safely under their own tier 1 mid tower.
fineokay here, waiting for the wave. And he'll go ahead and look towards it. Get flipped by Aquarius and pushed underneath the tower. Half HP for the Bellona. Health pop potion has been popped. Finds a little bit of damage thanks to the hammer. But fineokay's actually in a bad spot if Aquarius gets aggressive one more time. But Homiefe's here in the jungle.
Still has the Eagles rally available to him. There is no ultimate for Skeeledon, so Homiefe could look to be aggressive here. He will, but gonna miss out on the pull. Does find the knockup. The storm cloud is good. Now he walks away for free.
So much control from that Susano. Just the knockup, the pull, the vortex. It's a lot. Wowy, he's going to take a lot of damage. He'll be able to walk over the wall, drop the Suns, help out. fineokay's the one that's getting a kill, though. Wubbn falls on down thanks to the rotation out of the solo lane, and he's not done yet. Jumps right on top of MLC, finds the screen, but the meatball will knock him up and out of position. He then looks around the corner for MLC, realizes it's not going to be an Abbott target. Aquarius will base under the tower.
Great discipline from Monkey Madness, not diving the half-health Hercules without his ultimate under that tier 1 tower. The purple buff was up for Noble. Monkey Madness stripped that away instead and still continued to farm, outpacing Noble in the experience department.
MM going for the small objective in the little oracles.
Still a very comfortable lead for Monkey Madness compared to the first game, despite not finding any Gold Furies, just being all over the game, all over the lanes rather, for Homiefe, whether he's playing this Nemesis or the Susano, making an impact where it counts.
3,500 gold in 8 minutes, Tolly.
Without a Gold Fury.
Without a Gold Fury. I mean, that's tough.
Almost 7,000 experience.
That's really, well, why don't you paint us a picture? What does 7,000 experience mean?
That's like 2 to 2.5 levels where there's going to be a level 12 first on every side for Monkey Madness to get that second relic. And the primary victim here has been Wubbn and Stealth.
Oh, he's going to toss the ultimate on his feet, do some damage, but Jigz tosses the dot through the wall and winds up taking down MLC Stealth right there in the middle. Nice shots coming out from MM, just pushing their lead even further. Now, yeah, still about 3.5, inching towards 4.
And not only that, they're still just retreating under their own tier 1 tower, respecting the rotation from Skeeledon, not giving anything back has been the whole game plan for Monkey Madness. They take their advantages and they cleanly walk away.
Vetium might be number 1. He dashes away, gets hit by some long-range nonsense, and here's help from Wubbn. This could be it, and it will. Skeeledon gets the kill. Nice gank out of the jungler, helped out by the hunter and the support.
Vetium just a little bit too aggressive. His beads weren't up for another 25 seconds. Skeeledon is going to get pulled back in. Wowy uses his ultimate just to peel a little bit longer.
I like it.
Great play out of the hunter from Noble. Still struggling a little bit though in the experience department. Level 9 compared to Vetium's 11. Wowy
went to the school of Ares when it comes to peel. Well, I don't really have any ability to do that besides the jump, so I'm just going to dab at you and make you run the other way.
It also slows you down, making it more difficult to catch up to Skeeledon despite having a lot of mobility for the Susano. That's a great counter option here for at least one god out of Noble.
Mid lane seems to be where the party might be next. Jigz is the uninvited guest, but he'll dash away thanks to the damage. And the ultimate over the wall for Hercules. Not going to be good enough. Blue buff gets successfully stolen one more time by fineokay's Bellona.
Speed buff, though, it is warded by Monkey Madness. They're trying to find it thus far. Skeeledon will walk away cleanly with that speed buff. But it seems that Monkey Madness, they're not deterred quite yet. They still want to get something.
Nice. Oh, nice shot, but it's on the support. Jigz loses half a bar, but He's Jigz. The ultimate out of Andy is going to be off the money, not going to be there for the taking, but the single target one will absolutely hit it. Searing Pain. And it's money in the bank, 6-1 as Andy finds his second kill of the contest here. MM lead by a nice spot, about 4,000 gold here, folks, give or take.
Andinster has such great mechanics. Despite missing his Searing Pain off of the pull from Homiefe, he was very confident that he would hit it anyway, but regardless, he walked up, used that Celestial Beam. I would have liked to see him wait to use his ultimate whenever the Typhoon comes out of Homiefe, just to guarantee that damage, and that way you can also, during the knockup lasts so long from Susano ultimate that you can even reposition Ra for like a split second to get to min-max your ultimate if the opportunity presents itself.
Man, I definitely called that incorrectly. I mixed them up. Searing Pain, Celestial Beam.
Yeah. They sound like they both should be an ultimate,
That's
right?
what I'm saying, yeah.
It just sounds so powerful out of this Sun God.
Yeah, man, and it certainly has been very powerful. Andy sitting number 2 on the net worth. The player damage not so far either.
You know what else is very powerful?
What, Totally?
My Ra impression.
Okay, let's hear it.
Ra!
All right, I'm glad we heard it.
There we go. Did you think I was going to laugh?
I thought you were going to talk about booties. Skeeledon needs to talk about something that's got to be else. Not talking about the invade.
Nice.
Vetium with a nice cleanup, completely understanding the range of that ultimate, taking down the jungler. Just over-aggressive there from Skeely. 1, 2, and 0 at the time that he made that single-man invade. Not a lot of vision there. You can take a look at the enemy jungle. Not a lot of noble vision on the enemy side of the map. Just not enough information for Skeeledon to make that play in my eyes. So because of that, he'll suffer. 3 and 0 for the jungler this time around.
With Skeeledon just now reviving a 5-on-4 power play. No soul laner here either.
Vetium.
Aquarius still in the soul lane. Vetium gets the Gold Fury. First one of the game, this time for Monkey Madness at the 13-minute mark.
Yeah, they tried a little bit earlier, but they would return as the players siphoned in from the mid lane. So MM this time around will pick up their first Gold Fury. And as I said earlier, leading by about 5,000 this time around. So they're making their steps here, totally. 5-5 to be precise. And 13.5 is kind of foreboding. You kind of figure out what MM is going to be able to do here, and the answer is whatever they want.
It's all across the board that Monkey Madness has this sort of advantage. Whether or not you're looking at the mid laner andinster playing the Hades or the Ra getting the better end of his former teammate MLC Stealth, or whether or not it's Jigz just playing more offensively against Wubbn, taking advantage despite the great Ganesha.
And there's the ultimate out of both the support and the mid laner, and Khepri's going to look out for Homiefe, but fineokay is looking out for Wubbn and bringing him down. That's going to be 8 kills in total for MM. Aquarius is low. Wowy gets the kill and saves his solo later. Homiefe was all the way in the back and could not secure it. Skeeledon dances around Andy's ultimate, but MM still wind up on top. Even though it's a 1-for-1 trade, they're able to snatch away some of the enemy jungle.
Absolutely, but losing Homiefe in the process is a little bit of a downfall here. You only get Wubbn in response here. Monkey Madness, slight miscommunication as we saw andinster chase out Skeeledon a little bit. They forced out the Camazotz ultimate. He had to go under his own tier 2 tower, and the rest of the action was between that speed buff and back harpies.
Man, Skeeledon is a great jungler, but he suffers when he has to be the guy. And, you know, full credit to Ryan, who I was having this conversation with. And, you know, to be fair, most good analysis comes from bouncing off of 2 different people. But Skeeledon does very well. Ooh, Vetium here. Nope, dashing.
Bouncing between 2 walls is the Ricochet. Great play from Wowy. Dharmic Pillars gonna slow Vetium a little bit, but gonna walk away cleanly. Not even have to using any defensive relic.
Skeeledon will perform better when MLC pops off. That's what's going to happen here for this noble squad. Skeeledon just can't be the first option. He needs to be the second option a lot of times for whatever reason. And if MLC or Wowy are having a fantastic game, Skeeledon will be able to capitalize off of that and be able to assist the team and bring them to the next level. But when he has to be the focal point, I mean, this Camazotz just hasn't done much of anything in this game, and it winds up being a trouble spot for Noble.
It's just a team effort. The mid-jungle synergy go hand in hand, but Stealth gets jumped on in the
big
background.
Big shot coming out from fineokay, stunning the players, allowing a kill to happen. Nicely done. Wowy will be the second to fall. And MM going to rotate back into the middle lane. Skeeledon looking for a cheeky play here as he's trying to fall back. fineokay chases Wubbn all the way to the tier 2.
Still finding more aggression under the tier 1. Skeeledon trying to jump away, can't do it. Pulled back in between the tier 1 and tier 2. Aquarius gets taken out. Another deicide. This is like the third deicide, maybe fourth one, coming out of Monkey Madness in the set.
And it's interesting because their team fight is great, but a lot of the kills come off of the solo laner chasing players down to the Phoenix, which we laugh about and we make jokes about, but there is something to be said about ensuring the kill happens to open the larger window for bigger opportunities.
fineokay starts the action and it ends the action with Aquarius dying. Both the solo laners here make some sort of story here in that last team fight, and with this kind of level lead, it's no surprise that Monkey Madness has just been grouping up, utilizing the sustain coming out of andinster now and the damage reduction from Jigz on this Khepri.
Look at the damage out of Wubbn. 5,200. Not bad at all for a support player.
The Dharmic Pillars does quite a bit of damage, especially if you can catch somebody along that line. Now, it's not necessarily if you go back and forth from it that's going to do a lot of damage. It's about trying to trap somebody right on that line. There's a more control this time around coming out of Noble than the previous game. So making full use out of this Ganesha, but because of how far behind they fell in the solo lane and in the jungle, and the Hunter position leaving Wowy alone in a 1v2, Noble just couldn't really capitalize on the support pick objectively. And going forward, Wowy's going to be aggressed on by fineokay's rotation as well. Skeeledon is here in 1v2 yet again. Eagles rally, forcing out the Aegis Amulet. This could be another dead Hunter.
Level 17 Bellona just doesn't care about Skeeledon whatsoever. I would say it was a 2-on-1, but he did look at Skeely once. Skeeledon just wasn't in his mind. It was a 1-on-1 with an annoying bat on the side. fineokay continuing his reign of terror here, just looking for Wubbn, and he'll walk away safely. And the tier 1 tower defended by the solo laner and turned into a push opportunity. Perhaps not on the tower itself, but at least into the enemy jungle. And that's exactly where Khepri is going. Jigz leading the charge with fineokay again alongside.
All 5 ultimates were used by Noble. They don't have too many options here of defending their towers or this Gold Fury in the time being. Jigz still having a Scarab's Blessing. Homiefe with the Typhoon, Vetium with that Petrify. That should be good enough here to secure it.
fineokay slays the Gold Fury. MM get credit for it. They're up over 10,000 gold. Aquarius, I've seen that scene. Dead again.
Constantly focused is Aquarius. Monkey Madness has not allowed the solo laner any breathing room. No breathing room as the Eagles rally diving the back.
I gotta give credit where credit's due. Nice pull from Homie. F-E, the Iron Homie. 17-2. Incredible. I gotta give credit where credit's due, man. fineokay has been a pleasure to watch. Fantastic rookie. He's on a team with andinster, Jigz, Vetium, and Homiefe. Sure, the kid is talented. He knows what he's doing. But these guys have absolutely taught him the ropes, the way that they were able to really just, and of course, I'm speaking conjecture, but there's no way you're on a team with those veterans and don't learn from them directly.
And he has his own mindset about builds. We saw Breastplate of Valor and Gladiator Shield out of the SummerCon last game. This time around on the Bellona, going for a very attack speed-based centric build between Ninja Tabby here, Witchblade, which gives you 15% attack speed, Shogun's Kusari, which gives you your team and yourself a 25% attack speed aura. Now to complement with that attack speed, going for that Frostbound Hammer, and whenever he dives the backline, specifically on Wowy, since he has that height of Nemean Lion, that Hunter has nowhere to go.
I refer to the solo lane a lot as a Swiss Army knife, and that's not always an accurate description, but this position out of fineokay is exactly that. What does the team need? All right, we need some healing reduction. I guess I'll buy a Witchblade. All right, they've got some basic attackers. I guess I'll buy a Nemean Lion. What else do we really need? If they had an Odin, he'd be the one buying the Phantom, right? Like, he's the one that's picking up all of the tools. He's the toolbox, and he knows that that's the job that he has to do. He knows that he's not going to be... What's fun is he's becoming the spotlight guy without trying, and that's when you've got something special.
Monkey Madness, very comfortable lead, positioning themselves around this Fire Giant. Gold Fury down, Portal Demon completed as well. Noble trying to bounce back off of their 14,000 gold deficit.
I want to see Skeely do it. He jumps forward, he gets pulled. I don't think we're going to see Skeely do it. Take it to the sky, looking for it. 1 and 2, the Fire Giant goes the way of MM. Despite Skeeledon's best efforts, Vetium gets kill number 1. Totally, this fight looks abysmal for Noble.
No chance or opportunity here. Fire Giant on all 5 members out of MM. 3 already dead out of Noble. Stealth is going to be shortly to follow. Can't really run away from the mobility out of Susano.
Abysmal's not really a word. Abysmal or dismal would be the choice here. But that's kind of where Noble was as well. They couldn't really figure out which direction to go. Do they want to go late game? Do they want to go early game? And nothing really came together here in set number 2, game number 2 of week number 2 of our summer split. 22-2. MM find a slew of DSIs. They find themselves almost 20,000 gold in the lead, 15,000 to be precise. And though Vetium's trying to have a little bit of fun here, 21 minutes on the clock is where MM find their second victory.
Andinster having a little bit of fun diving that fountain with his Aegis Amulet, and Monkey Man is looking out for number 2, going from number 2 into that number 1 position, getting those 3 points, now climbing the standings.
A lot of fun to watch. That's Fine House. It's just a lot of fun to watch, honestly. We got a Hades in game number 1, which has been really exciting to watch when it comes to cleanup kills with the ultimate and then just blowing people up with Devour Souls. And then game number 2, again, just nice control coming out from really everybody. How'd you feel about both games?
I felt really comfortable here in both games here, seeing a lot of cool action here, whether it was the God selections, we finally get to see Ganesh, and also really a lot of cool, interesting item choices out of a lot of these players.
I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about the players and the items. We'll talk about it on the desk.
Thank you very much, Tom and Toli. We're halfway through our first day here of week number 2 of the Summer Split SPL. I'm Aggro, your host. Taco now joining me on the desk. Remember the time where you weren't allowed to have a desk?
It was pretty dark days, actually. I don't miss that time at all. I like this.
We'll see if you get to keep it after this one. Either way, Monkey Madness take that 2-0 up against Noble. And as they mentioned there right before they threw to us, Taco, game 1, I'm looking at Andinster on the Hades. He was the one that made the real game-changing play there.
It was a game-changing play, but not only that, but he just seems so comfortable surrounded by the rest of his team. And the Gold Fury especially, and securing the kills right after, there's just nothing you can really do against that.
Hades is one of the best characters at jumping into a big old pile like that and making it happen. I loved the early purification beats from him to make sure that he could steal that away. Really did a great job cleaning up all around. Noble just seemed to, I mean, these are talented players. Everyone knows these guys can play the game at a high level. What's holding them back from finding these victories?
It just seems like they're not meshing in the same way that these other teams are. It took, Monkey Madness a little bit of time, but they found their rhythm and they're rolling with it. But you just don't really feel that same aspect from Noble. They have very strong players that can make the individual plays, but when it comes to the team environment, it just doesn't seem to be coming together.
That's a great point. I mean, you look at what Soar, now Monkey Madness was doing during the spring split. They started off at the very bottom of the league, didn't find any victories for a long time, and then started to get some momentum. So keep an eye out on those teams like Noble, or on the European side of things, we have Burrito Esports. But before we get to that, we got to finish up on this Noble versus Monkey Madness set, because I would be remiss if I didn't get a chance to throw to these Homiefe replays in game 2. My man was all over the place on this Susano.
And the Susano, I think, is just one of those guys you really can't permit Homiefe to have. He's such a talented jungler, and then when you provide him with a god that he can completely abuse his talent with, it's just a recipe for disaster for the enemy team.
He and Andinster working together is really a thing of beauty almost all the time, and I think that was their vision whenever this team was made. Andinster moving out of the jungle. And I think that, this was one of the only guys he would have done that for. These two had a ton of respect for one another when playing against each other. And now on the same team, their synergy is just really impressive.
And, I mean, you can love Susano with just about anything, but Susano with Ra especially was just absolutely crucifying the enemy team. Like, he was just had so much setup potential and so much of a follow-up factor that it's really nice that these two, like you said, play into each other. And you can tell there's definitely a lot of chemistry between the two.
Well, Monkey Madness, they're all alone in first place North America, at least for the time being. We also had another set earlier on today, Taco, Enix versus Burrito. And as I was mentioning, this is a team in Burrito that is still trying to get their footing. There's only their second set of the the summer split so far, but they've had two really tough opponents in Dignitas and today Enix.
It's a really rough roster to run into from the get-go, but you have to give it to Burrito. And also, even though Enix came out with a clean 2-0 set victory, I wouldn't say that the matches in particular were very clean. I would say if I was Enix, I wouldn't be super satisfied with my performance because Burrito, I think with a little bit more experience on the roster, they would have probably finished off the victory in game number 2 at least.
Well, game number 1, it all came down to one big play by the big man Tings, playing Bellona support of all things. I think this is the one. He started off this fight with a massive Eagles rally, and this game was close up into those points. You look at the kills, it was 6-6 at that stage. This is the real turning point for Enix.
The aggression factor that Big Man Tings was able to provide on this Bellona support was so crucial for the rest of Enix because it just gave free follow-up potential to fails. He was willing and able to engage or disengage whenever he wanted to, and especially knowing that he could have Lobster on that Morgan to assist him at any point with whether he chose to ult as, you know, another Robin or Bellona or even the enemy team Thor, for instance. It just didn't make a difference. They just had a lot of compact team fights with those Warriors.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the standings and see exactly where our teams are sitting halfway through today, the first day of week number 2 of the SPL. As I mentioned, in North America, Monkey Madness, they are now up on top. Keep in mind they have played the most matches, but they found 2 wins and 1 split. Certainly off to a better start than they were in the spring split of this year. Coming up next, actually, we're going to be having Eager against United. Those 2 teams tied at 1 point for now. But let's take a look at EU and Enix really getting a little bit closer to that of Team Dignitas. In fact, overtaking them by just 1 point with that extra match in hand.
A ton of very strong contenders in the side of EU. There's probably 5 teams right now giving Energy, I think, a fair run for their money as far as the Valencia DreamHack slots are concerned. You've got Enix, Dignitas, Energy, Rival, and Obey. Those are some spooky teams.
Certainly one of those teams, as you mentioned, Obey Alliance. They take on Energy today to close us out. What a set that's going to be. Let's take a look at the remaining schedule. I already kind of teased it a little bit, but Eager versus the United is going to be our next match. But Obey and Energy at the end of the day, I mean, this is the 2 heavyweights in Europe. Even without Energy, you know, looking quite as good during that spring split, I think everyone still has their eyes on this matchup.
Ataraxia and Pretty Prime are out for blood, and NRG blood at that. I don't think that these guys will be satisfied walking away from a split on either end. Both of these teams are going to be looking for the 2-0, and I think whichever side finds the 2-0 victory might be a very telling tale for how the rest of the split's going to unfold.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can, you only play each team once during this split, so if you're able to find that 2-0 victory against a top contender like Energy or Obey, you're setting yourself up for a great chance at DreamHack Valencia next month. Let's take a look.